Hi guys! Today we're going to talk about how to properly oil the valves on your brass instrument and do a quick daily check of your instrument. To do this, you'll need your valve oil and perhaps slide grease depending on how your slides are working, a nice soft cloth or towel to put in your lap, and that's about it. So first, let's do a daily check of the instrument. Your daily check of the instrument should include checking the tuning slides and the valve caps. So the first thing you want to do is give each slide a pull and make sure that it moves freely. There should be 4 more on a French horn, and sometimes on a tuba or baritone there are more. They should move freely. If they don't, they'll also need lubrication. Then you want to check each valve cap. That's the portion at the very bottom or the very top. Just give it a loosen and a tighten. Loosen, tighten. Remember, we turn to the left to loosen and to the right to tighten. Lefty-loosey, righty-tighty. Now we're ready to oil your valve. To oil your valve, you're going to turn the valve cap, not the button at the top, but the valve cap, to the left until it's all the way loose. Now it's all the way loose. Then I'm going to pull out the valve carefully, most of the way, but not all the way. It doesn't need to come all the way out. Then, this silvery part, this is the part that needs the oil, not the part up here. So I'm going to take my valve oil and put some on that silvery part. Doesn't take a lot, but I would say the very first time you do this, it takes more than the rest of the times. Then you want to insert the valve back in. Now this is the important part. You're going to give the valve a twist, turning the top part to the right, not the left, but to the right, until you hear a click. I'll do that one more time. And once it clicks in, the valve guide should lock it in place. Then, carefully tighten the cap back down. If it doesn't tighten easily, you're probably not tightening it correctly. It's not seated right. This valve is ready to go. Repeat the process with the other 2. To regrease a tuning slide, all you need to do is remove the slide. Sometimes pushing the button that goes with the slide makes this easier. Using a paper towel, wipe off the old grease from the slide. Some slides have the inner part on one piece. Some of them, it's on part of the instrument. Wipe off the old grease. Then take your slide grease, which is usually in a little container like this, sometimes in a little chapstick type of thing. And I'm going to get just a little bit and smear a little bit on there and wipe it around. It's always better to start with a little than too much because it's easier to add more. It's hard to get rid of a bunch. Once I've done that, I'm going to reinsert my valve. I like to go one part at a time to reinsert my valve slide and work the oil around. Then push the slide back on. If there's extra that squirts out the ends, wipe that off also with your paper towel. Nobody likes a greasy brass instrument. That should now work very easily. If for some reason on your tuba or baritone you happen to pull the valve all the way out, you may find a surprise, a little spring waiting inside. Put the spring back inside and don't lose the spring. This is also a great example of why we should oil our valves regularly. This valve has not been properly taken care of, and you can see that the plating is worn off. Eventually, this valve will stop working. Once you're all done, blow some air through the instrument without buzzing and just work the valves to spread the oil. That sends the oil through the instrument and helps distribute it. And that's how you oil the valves and do a daily check on your instrument. Now you're good to go. The rotary valves on a French horn present a bit of a different problem because you can't get directly to the valve. So the way you want to oil this is you're going to remove the valve slide. Now, if I put valve oil directly into this slide tube, it's going to eat away any of the grease that I've already put in there to lubricate the slide, so that's no good. The way to do it on a French horn is to take this part that you removed, put a few drops into it. Doesn't matter which side, it's going to come out the whole thing. Then, keeping the slide this way, put it back into your French horn. Then turn it and work the valve and move some air. Now you've oiled the valve properly. Another spot that needs attention from time to time is right on the valve rotor. This spot here. If you remove that, you'll see you really can't get into the valve. But you will see the rotor moving. And the spot that we want to oil is right there. This part right here. Just a drop of oil on that is plenty. Ding. And then put your valve cap back on. Now this process also works for the rotary valves on trombones with an F attachment or bass trombone. Okay, so this lesson is for trombone players and trombone players only. Let's talk about how to properly lubricate your slide. First, you want to always handle this slide carefully when taking it apart. The inner tube is super fragile and flexible. I recommend doing this with a table or on the ground. Take a paper towel or a soft cloth and wipe off any old lubricant on your slide. Be careful not to bend the slide when you do this. Then you're going to take your slide lubricant and apply just a little trickle of it along your slide. Little is better than a lot. You can always add more. I have just a little stream of it on there. Then taking your finger and thumb, you want to distribute that all around it. There. It shouldn't look milky or creamy at all, but it should feel kind of silky along it. Then as the final step, take your spray bottle with water, preferably distilled water, but regular water will do, and just give it a mist. You should see little droplets of water along the slide, and that's what the slide really rides on. The lubricant repels the water, and the slide rides on that. It makes it super efficient. Then carefully put the two ends of your slide together, making sure that you align the longer end with the part that also has the water key on it. Carefully turn them into each other and work them back and forth. And there you have a slide that should just move silky smooth. Don't forget to lock it. It's also a good time to check that your water key closes right and it's not bent. You're good to go. Now you should go through this routine on a regular basis. Definitely do it before you use your valves or slide the first time. You don't want to run them when they're dry. After that, check them every few days to make sure that they're always properly lubricated. Keeping your valves and slides lubricated not only helps keep your instrument working well, it keeps it clean and helps you sound great.